I'm Becky.
I'm Naomi.
I'm a GP, so I'm a doctor in general practice.
And I'm a sexual health doctor.
And today we're going to talk about consent, which can be a really massive and overwhelming and sometimes complicated topic, but we're going to try and keep it really simple for you. An opener to that, keeping it simple, is that any sexual contact without your permission at any age is illegal. We've talked about some really alarming statistics, haven't we?
Yeah. I mean, about 1 in 10 women have been sexually assaulted. But I find it really irritating the way we talk about that. So, for example, we may say 50 women have been raped. We should actually be saying 50 men have raped women. So we always put it back on the victim. And I see far too much of that when I'm sitting in clinic with people who have been sexually assaulted, blaming themselves. And that's wrong.
It's completely wrong on so many levels. But to go back to consent, the law is, in this country, that any sexual activity under the age of 16 is illegal. Can we get real?
Just to say, if you are under 16 and having sex, that's about a third of people.
At least a third.
In this country.
Yeah.
So here we go, first one. So 2 15-year-olds having sex, both are consenting. What do you think to that?
Okay, so technically they're under 16. So in this country, technically they're breaking the law. However, they're both of a similar age and they're consenting. So even though they're technically breaking the law is extremely unlikely to punish them in this scenario. What's the only thing really we're worried about these two?
Make sure that you're thinking about sexually transmitted infections and pregnancy risk. So this is a bit different. So 15-year-old having sex with a 12-year-old who has consented.
Okay, so alarm bells should be whirring. And there's a big problem on this card, the 12-year-old. So this is a very young human being. We don't have the ability to consent at that age. In this country, anyone under the age of 13 cannot consent to sexual activity, even if they're saying they want to. It's irrelevant. They cannot consent to sexual activity. So we are worried about these two, aren't we?
Yeah, but what I would say is, even in this scenario, as healthcare professionals, we're there to support and help these two children. So anyone who comes see me or Becky, as long as there's no safety issues, obviously there is with this case, but for example, if you use the other case, our priority is you. So we want you to be safe and healthy, and we don't tell your parents, we don't tell the police, we don't tell anybody else unless there are concerns. So for example, in this 12-year-old case, we'd have to break confidentiality, but we would tell you about that and we would explain why we're doing it.
And we'd talk our way through, wouldn't we? And the 12-year-old, the questions we'd be asking, why is this 12-year-old even wanting to have sex? Where is this 12-year-old living? What kind of environment? Is this 12-year-old exposed to pornographic material? There'd be other factors at play, but we'd still support them through that process, wouldn't we?
Well, yeah, we want to help both these children.
Be safe.
So a 17-year-old is having sex with his or her school teacher.
Okay, so this is where the law's a bit different. Someone in a position of responsibility or care should not be having sex with anyone under the age of 18. That law is there to protect students.
And also I'd add to that, actually any big age gap with somebody under the age of 18 or we'd be concerned about, because generally that means that there's a power imbalance.
We've got clothes on this table.
We have.
There is a reason for that. Okay. So slightly sexy clothes. Yeah.
Very.
Very. Are they giving permission for sexual activity?
Definitely not.
No.
So clothes, flirting, anything that you do, if you want to say no at any point along any journey with any sort of intimacy, that means no. So even if you were, clothes don't mean anything, do they? You can wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
It does not give a man or a woman permission to touch any part of your body. If you're kissing someone, it then doesn't mean you have consented to sex, for example. And even if you're having sex and you change your mind, you can still stop and say no. So that's really important, isn't it?
Really important. And that actual verbal communicating, especially in young people, especially in early relationships. If you're communicating and it's an enthusiastic yes from both of you, you're unlikely to go wrong, aren't you?
Yeah.
So communicating all the time, even though it's awkward as hell.
Yeah,
It is awkward and embarrassing, but it's still important. And you can giggle and laugh and make a mess of it, but at least you're communicating your way through. Last card, the most important one, which I hope we've kind of touched on as we went along. So seeking help, you can do that at any age.
Any age.
any scenario. We are a safe space.
Yeah.
We don't get embarrassed, ever.
Not about sex.
Not about sex. No. This is the thing you need to remember.
So thanks ever so much for listening. I think in a nutshell, if you are concerned about any of this, talk to someone that you can trust.
Absolutely. Second that 100%.